Hello, Patreon family. It's really good to be here with you guys. Um, I felt as I was laying in bed today, as you can tell, I'm looking pretty rough. Um, I've been going through a lot of intense evolution, really, really fast. I've been feeling lots of trauma. Like life has been triggering some very deep-seated, intense trauma up, and it's been really hellish but beautiful. Like I love the hell of meeting my denser, more painful trauma with love. It's like this hellish experience where trauma is coming up to the surface, and it's so much that our inner manager, our super ego is like clenching, like, no, it's too much to feel. I can't feel all this trauma at once. And just being able to like meet all of that with so much love, like meet the trauma that's trying to come up and be seen with love, and to also meet like the super ego, the inner manager who's gripping with love, like letting that part grip. It's like there's this saying, of course, like don't try not to resist what is unconsciously resisting within you. It's like that part that's like, this is too much trauma to feel at once. Like this is too much terror. This is too much rage. This is too much grief. It's like just having compassion for that part. And it's like, yep, you get to be here too. You get to resist. You get to grip as tight as you want. And so that's the hell I'm talking about. It's like that hell of like all those energies coming up and wanting to be released, but there's this part gripping. And so it's like, it's just, it feels like it's just bumping up against it. And especially if you've got a lot of Kundalini energy flowing in your body, as I do, at all times, it's just like a burning fire of evolution. And it's super exhausting on the body, on the psyche. And so during these times, they're such a gift because so much is coming up to be released and alchemized and integrated. And it's like such a liberating experience. But it's like so important to take such good care of yourself and to like give yourself all the rest. Like I was talking to a client today, and they were telling me how they were feeling so exhausted, and they were asking me, and this was another inspiration of me making this video, as I've been being asked by a lot of you guys in session, like, hey, what are you going through? Like, what's happening within you? Because there's so much intense evolution going on right now. It's like people are really just, we're trying to find that reflection, like, hey, is it okay that I'm just so tired and all I want to do is lay in bed all day? And I just wanted to share, like, this is what I've been doing. This is how it feels to me to give this body to the divine. Like, this isn't Matthew's body, this is the divine's body. And just like giving myself over to the divine recently has been just laying with myself, just being with myself, being with the trauma coming up, like the scared inner child coming up, and breathing into that part, I love you, exhaling, you're safe, just over and over again. Like it becomes this, like basically this automatic inner mantra. It's like this, like that breath that when you breathe in, I love you, and you exhale, it's okay. That breath becomes a prayer. It's like this living prayer in your body. And this living prayer, it really helps that terror that's been evoked, or any of these difficult traumas that have been evoked. It helps them feel a lot safer. And also like the superego that's gripping really hard, it helps that part to feel like, okay, there's a like a field of divine power around me that I can let go into. It's like if that part that's gripping when a lot of trauma comes up, if it feels like there's an addict here, there's someone who is always abandoning themselves, there's someone who's depleting their power, giving, prostituting themselves out for this or that, to be liked, to be approved, to get attention, whatever. It's like that inner controller, manager, super ego, however you want to look at it, they're going to be like, oh, I can't let go into that, But if they feel that there's this presence here that's literally giving their life over to the divine in every moment, that's, doing whatever it takes to take care of themselves. Like yesterday I turned my phone off at 3 p.m. and didn't turn it back on today until I met with Cesare at 9. And it's like that part of us can feel like, oh, okay, I wasn't giving my power away anywhere. I was literally just laying in bed, breathing, being with my direct experience, that part can feel that, and it can feel like when it can feel like that inner, like all that consciousness that we used to give away to the phone, to this person we want to like us, but they don't really choose us, to pretending to be something we're not, like all these energies we used to give away and deplete ourselves. When we just start bringing them back in, and we just start being with ourselves, and we show up in containers that do meet us fully, like for me it's Cesare. It could be a retreat container, it could be a container of being in nature, it could be the container of being creative, maybe it's reading your favorite book, maybe it's music. You get what I'm saying. When we start just staying in our power, it's like our field starts to fill with this divine power, with more of ourselves, we can feel more of ourselves there, our true self. And it's like that inner manager that's gripping and saying, this is too much. It's like, okay, I'm safe. It's like there's a lot of power here to let go into. And when we do have a lot of power, that inner manager is less likely to grip in the first place. And so for me lately, and there's levels to this. It's like we have a certain amount of power, so we're super resilient to some things, and then the one thing that is going to trigger something that happened in childhood happens, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, we're overwhelmed again. The gripping, it feels tighter than it ever has, even though we've done tons of work with that. And what it does, though, the gift of here, the evolutionary gift here, is it like really forces us to cultivate even more power, even more space for this huge, like, deep freeze of trauma that's come up, right? So we just, and this is the beautiful part about this. So it comes up, and the gripping comes, and it's trying to release, and it's doing this, and it's just hellfire. But I've noticed yesterday, leaving my phone off, I was able to be with the direct experience of it. And there are many times where I was like, I just want to go get on my phone and kind of abandon myself to YouTube or chase this or that. And I noticed every time that desire would get so strong to do that, and I would just sit through it and I'd breathe through it, it would just kind of release, and there'd be more space, and then more of myself would come online, and that gripping would get a little bit looser and a little bit looser. And what I realized is to stay with the direct experience and not leave it. Otherwise, I knew I'd have to repeat it. And it's like that mantra started coming in. It's like, stay with us, don't leave it, or you're gonna have to repeat it. And I noticed these feelings, they've had some familiarity. Like I had met this trauma before, but always, like when it gets into super freeze mode, like super stuck mode, that's when I just cut and run. That's when I'll get in my car and I'll just leave somewhere, or I'll abandon myself into another person, or it used to be back in the day like work. I mean, it could be, or like entertainment, and there used to be sex and drugs, and still it has been sex here and there, on the path with Kundalini. But I just noticed if I don't do those things and I just stay with this direct experience, and I don't leave it, I could feel like, okay, I'm not gonna have to repeat this. Like this trigger, it gets to come up and fully be seen this time. And yeah, that's really what I've been going through, like the hellfire of intense evolution, the hellfire that tends to descend into our lives when we give ourselves fully to the evolutionary path, when we give ourselves fully to the transformation of being in a human body and going and becoming a divine body. And my teacher, Craig Holliday, said this so beautifully, like, imagine a world where humans are born into enlightened bodies. If this world was a world where humans were born into enlightened bodies, enlightened vessels, then more likely than not, this would be an enlightened realm, right? And that's what my life is like. My life is about, more than anything, becoming a powerful conduit for the Divine Mother, for Sri Aurobindo, for Hilda, for Skanda. Like everything else is so secondary. It's just like I can feel life. I can feel life just clearing the slate of anything else that kind of interferes with that one movement. And it's just getting me so clear there. And it's like, it's like, that's it. And let the perfect partner come or not. Let fame and success come or not. Let people love me or not love me, you know? All of that is so secondary to the movement of just allowing myself to become as powerful as possible for the divine. And this isn't power for the ego Matt to get high off of and get what he wants. It used to be that. Even as much as a year ago, it was a lot more of that. But really recently, in these last few months, it's become more of, I want to fill with power and divinity and unconditional love to become an inspiration, not for my own whatever that I think I can, self-aggrandation, but for this earth realm to evolve. I even wrote down something yesterday that could be taken very ego, and from the ego perspective could be very arrogant. I was journaling and I wrote something to the nature of, I want to become such a powerful conduit that I change the course of human evolution. Like there's something so powerful that wants to burst through me to where that feels so real. And that wasn't from an egoic place of because I want that, then I'll have all, the whatever, I'll be seeing it. It was nothing like that. It was just like very true and real. Like I in my deepest place, want to become so powerful for the Divine Mother, for Sri Aurobindo, for Hilda and Skanda, that I am able to change the course of human evolution so that this earth realm can move into a place where there's not suffering, where there's not people killing each other, where there's not war, where there's not people starving to death, where there's not homelessness, where there's not 1% of the population has all the things, has all the whatever. It's like there's something greater that was said that through me. It's like this exists in all of us, the power of God, the power of divinity, the power of source. It exists so fully within each one of us. Each one of us came here. If you're watching this, you came here to evolve in such a powerful and profound way that you do change the course of human evolution. And that's why if you need to lay in bed all day, that's okay. And that's why if you're suffering and you're in pain, that's okay. You're releasing a lot. The only reason you're able to feel so much pain and darkness and trauma come up is because there's so much light flooding your being. And it's going into the deep, deep, dark crevices of your being. It's pulling it all up. And you have to understand, like, you're a way shore. You're paving the way in an energetic way with consciousness. And this earth realm's going through a lot right now, and it's only gonna get crazier. And it's only gonna get bumpier in some ways. So you have to understand, like, you're going first. You're doing it now. So that when everything is kind of hitting the fan and things are getting crazier and crazier, you're here as a space holder. It's like you've already gone through what you're gonna see millions and billions of people going through. It's like you're gonna be here to shine your light, to shine unconditional love, to bring peace, because you will have felt through all the density in your body. And I don't want to get too sci-fi about this but I like to bring a really grounded message through and I like to keep it with my direct experience. I used to do that stuff more, the other stuff more, and that can be fun, and I get all these chills saying it, but it's like, I wanted to share what my direct experience is, and that is one of just alchemizing a lot of trauma. And it's interesting how life will do it. There will be a way it's going to trigger it up, and initially you're going to say, this shouldn't be happening. I'll give you an example. I like Victor Otto. He always brings it back to his own life, and he gives an example of the message. When I was like, I thought of Victor Otto in that moment. Oh, I love that guy.